Bill Hwang. This man lost $20 billion in 2 days. One of the most spectacular failures in modern financial history.
Yeah, all day long.
When did you cash out at least $1 billion? Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, Wells Fargo, and Vanguard. Is that not the who's who of investment banks?
Yeah, not definitely. Bill.
No, was that his mentor?
What are you doing? I was mentoring you on stuff and you still f***ed it up. Hey, regular Americans, you guys gotta follow the rules. We do what the f*** we want. Oh, check this out. Yeah. So he went to Asia, f***ed it up.
So I'm like a little child.
And then you got the last 10 million on your books.
Be a great investor. Excellent.
They was like, yo, like cash out. He was like, nah. He's still in a $3 million house.
Like he was always leveraged to the New Rules Podcast. It's your boy McKinley Hayes. Got Carter walking in the building.
What are we talking about today?
Man, we talking about Bill Hwang. This man lost $20 billion in 2 days. It's a wild story though.
Like my question to you or question to the audience is, when is enough enough? Like once you get to a number, then you don't need to really risk a whole bunch of stuff anymore. We talk about that. We talk about like your retirement number and all that stuff. We've talked about that in past videos. The lesson learned is lost 20 billion. It's like, bruh, like how much was still at risk after you was up by like a good amount, right? And so
I'm thinking you definitely put $1 or $2 billion away. And I mean, I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, not definitely.
But that's how he got where he got, I guess, by running it up.
But when do you stop though?
We really got to dive into like how he did this. He was leveraged, and then we had a whole conversation about being leveraged is your true net worth what you are leveraged against.
Yeah.
And he ran it up with a bunch of creditors, you know what I'm saying? But he ran it up some billions. So I think he was in a position he had to have been. Obviously, if he knew it was coming, he'd probably do things differently. But because this is all legit, right? This is all legit.
Nah, homie wasn't gonna do it differently because this was his second time.
Oh.
Like he had f***ed up one time in Asia. Let's dive into the Bill
let's
Hwang
educate
story.
the people who don't know. Because like I didn't know about this, so you brought it to me. So the fast rise and even faster fall of a trader who bet big with borrowed money. Before he lost it all 20 billion, Bill Hwang was the greatest trader you'd never heard of. Starting in 2013, he parlayed more than 200 million left over from the shuttered hedge fund into a mind-boggling fortune by betting on stocks. So stock guy, right?
Stock guy.
Straight up, like Wall Street. He started a company called Archegos Capital Management.
Yep.
Unbeknownst to me, I mean, because we know about Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, we know about large investment banks, but apparently he had all of them in his palm with these deals he was making. So the sudden implosion of Hwang's Archegos Capital Management in late March, which this is what, 2021? Mm-hmm. And late March is one of the most spectacular failures in modern financial history. No individual has lost so much money. I don't mean to laugh, but it's kind of bizarre, I guess, when you get into it. No individual has lost so much money so quickly. At its peak, Hwang's wealth briefly eclipsed 30 billion. Damn. So it's 30? No, at his peak.
Yeah, like at his peak. So unrealized capital. The question I want to know in all this stuff that we're going to look at is, when the f*** do you cash out?
When do you cash out at least $1 billion? Like, however it goes down, I still got $1 billion. I mean, I would think like that in terms of millions. So billion is, yeah. Hwang was largely unknown outside of a small circle, fellow churchgoers, and former hedge fund colleagues, as well as a handful of bankers. I read that to mean he kind of stayed to himself. Yeah. And he's laughing earlier because it's like he was in the pulpit talking about how his steps and how he's benefited are all God ordained, but then he basically went to the stock market and put it all on black.
He used pretty much 2008, like all the shit that happened, like all the unregulated tools. This is another version of it. This guy just used leverage, like options and various derivatives, in order to ratchet up how much he could borrow and bet on. The stock market was on a bull run over the past couple of years, right? Like when I got to Google, I think stock per share was like 1,004, and obviously I know that because I was working there, because I care about that stuff.
What year was his run? Or when did he start? Because this is early.
Over the past couple of years, I think. Okay. And so the stock market's been going up until it hasn't. Right. So he was betting on his jump going up. Yeah. You a genius until you not.
Right.
Let's read through this.
Who's this pick?
Yeah, who is that guy? Like, who is that guy? Bill.
No, was that his mentor?
What are you doing? I was mentoring you on stuff and you still f***ed it up. Hwang is anything but a larger than life figure one might expect at the center of a financial fiasco. I grew up in a pastor's family. We were poor. I confess to you, I could not live poorly, but I live a few notches below where I could live. It's like, then don't bet. Like,
it's hard to tell him what to do when he was so successful, but it's like hindsight's 2020. It doesn't seem like someone so targeted in their attack would be so careless with a strategy that would allow them to implode like that.
I'm not judging him, right? Because you can't understand it in the moment. The lesson for this video is, what is your number?
Your walkaway number.
When do you get
Not
out?
walkaway, but
like
money that you can put and it's going to grow somewhere and be safe. That's not leveraged. If an institution has the ability to take it because it's leveraged against what you have there, right? Like we were talking about the Robin Hood example. Like they'll let you borrow what you have in the market.
Yeah, but if you up, you up. But I feel like at like 10 mil, you're not going to get me back to broke. Any other business ventures I do?
Exit strategy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's not involving the first, they're like, K, you worth 10. I'm like, nah, that first 5 is like a 0. I lose all this shit, I f up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get sued. This 5 mil.
What we're talking about is exit strategy, and he clearly didn't have one.
He didn't have exit strategy.
That's crazy to run up 20 billion with no exit strategy. Not even $1 million, 2 million, 5, 10.
So that's probably
billion?
the first question.
What is your exit strategy?
But it's a good question.
No one's saying
to ask.
retire when you get to that number, but that number should be a baseline for you to not go back under.
Agreed.
I mean, even people do that on a basic level. Like, I know a lot of people use 10,000 as a mark. You know, if I have less than 10,000 in my account, I feel things aren't going well. I feel poor. Or 1,000 or 500 or 100 or whatever your number is. But there's usually like a point where you're like, but the implosion for this guy, we got to talk about that. It happens so fast. Like, let's say he had a number, but didn't realize that the Viacom sale would take it all. That's bad in itself that you don't have an umbrella. If all the money that you earned is against borrowed money and the borrowed money exceeds the money you actually have, the question becomes, how much were you ever really worth? But credit to the guy who ran it up. Like, I just wish he would have kept $1 billion for himself.
I'm just pulling something random from the article. As Hwang recalled at the reunion, Robertson taught him a key lesson: to live with losses. At one point, Tiger had burned through $2 billion in the wrong way bet against the Japanese yen, and everyone was panicking. Robertson entered the room, according to Hwang, and said, "Guys, calm down. It's only work. We do our best." So
even when he lost $2 billion, he was chill about it. Like,
he was still okay. So his level of risk, like you and I, be like, "Oh my goodness, I'm never gonna get out of this." Like he like, I lost $2 billion before. Like,
that's another day's work. That's what he said. It's
I'll
only
make
work.
it back. Yo, we gotta look up how much he's worth now. I wonder if he made it back.
So there's a thing that came back. He said they say he owns a house in suburbs in New Jersey. They value the neighborhood at an average cost about $3 million.
He's still balling.
But
$3 million.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is it a mortgage? Is he leveraged to the in that too? Like, you know what I'm saying? But and then they said they can't track any of his tradings or assets or transactions. They said he's got a Hyundai, which is, you know, normal. He's got a regular car, $3 million house, and lives in Jersey.
All right, so let's talk about how Bill Hwang was able to grab all this money or actually get leverage to the U.S. rules prevent individual investors from buying securities with more than 50% of money borrowed on margin. So you can borrow 50%. No such limits apply to hedge funds and family offices.
So they limits big
familiar
limits.
with Archegos say the firm steadily ramped up its leverage. Initially, that meant about 2x or 1 million borrowed for every million of capital. By late March, the leverage was 5x.
That was the law.
So he
that
skirted
allowed
the rule.
you to leverage 5 more.
No, the law says you can only borrow 50% more. You tracking me so far?
Yeah, but how did it get to 5?
Because he was like, family office mean I'm trading my own money. So pretty much like if you work for somebody, they like, nah, you can't borrow, like the SEC rules say you can't borrow more than 50%.
So he just did that in a bunch of places.
Nah, so what he did was like, if I got $2 billion and I'm not working for Charles Schwab, like it's nothing regulated because it's a family office. So family office means you're using your own money or your family's money per se.
Right.
So you're not held to the same standards as a trader on Wall
Street. A regular
Street.
trader, yeah.
So that's how he skirted the rules. So it's almost like every time the Wall Street f***s up, they got to rethink all these rules.
Yeah,
so he found a way. Yeah. So he went to Asia, f***ed it up, got banned in Asia. Then he came here and he was like, oh, I'm going to just open up a family office. And as long as it's my money, I can get 5x leverage. So he was skirting all the rules to get to this number. So that's what they're saying. U.S. rules prevent individual investors from borrowing securities with more than 50% of the money borrowed on margin. No such limits apply to hedge. So it's hedge funds too. Yeah. So if you're a hedge fund, you could do burner. That's what happened with 2000.
No such limits. So this is the law versus
this is 2008
this
over again.
unregulated area where you can do this as long as you're not a regular trader. If you register as a hedge fund or a family office, these things don't apply to you.
This is 2008 all over again.
Yeah.
Hey, regular Americans, you guys got to follow the rules. We do what the we want, and if we lose, the taxpayer gets to eat it.
Yeah, they'll pass the laws to you.
Right. So like that's what happened here. Hwang also kept his banks in the dark by trading via swap agreements. In a typical swap, a bank gives its client exposure to an underlying asset such as a stock. When the client gains or loses from any changes in price, the bank shows up in filings as a registered holder of the share. So he was shadow cloaking it, like it's not me.
This is why nobody knew who he was. He was under the radar, like, and then when he ran it up, they considered him a whale in the market, but nobody knew his name because he was using these swaps, and the bank's name would be there. So it's like, all right, Wells Fargo bought this, Charles Schwab bought this, whoever bought this. It's not him showing up. It's the bank who he's leveraging showing up.
And the bank wants to show up. The bank is showing up because you got lender at the bank that's getting paid off because you know how options work or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like if you make money, so all this money he was making, he was cutting somebody commission off that. So they was getting paid off it. Yeah. So human nature was like, oh, this dude.
Let him do it if he's making money.
This dude got a bill. He asked me to put up another bill and I get whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever the arrangement is, the commission of 3% off that joke. Yeah, all day long. So then he was doing that with 5 banks.
Right.
The same thing. He just ran the same play. And because it's not tied to any system.
And when one bank's coming after you, got him cornered, he owes a lot of money. But when 5-8 mega banks are coming after you, and this is what they talked about in the story. Too late. A few of them started getting out the door.
Yeah.
And then the last one, who I guess still had enough trust. It's almost like if you lose in a house and you got 8 mortgages on it.
Yeah, get
and
out,
then
bro.
all of a sudden,
no way,
did you see the Tinder swindler?
Nah, I did see it.
Okay, did you see how he got one of them girls to take out like 10 personal loans?
Yeah.
And she just kept going and kept going and kept going?
Yeah.
I bet you those personal loan companies were like, all right, she owes us 50 bands, 100 bands, whatever they gave her. And it was like, we're going to go after her, we're going to get her. Like, in life, she'll make that and she could pay us back. But if it's 10 banks going after 100 bands, now you're a mill in, and the payments you making ain't doing a dent in nothing because you only hitting the minimum. So I bet you they got to the point where the banks were like, we trust this guy can pay us back. He showed $2 billion cash. He'll figure it out. And then you figure out that 3-4 banks then already figured out, nah, he's defaulted. We're going to get out. And then you got the last 10 million on your books. That was Credit Suisse or whatever it's called in here. So they were the last one holding back. So yeah, damn, he took leverage to the max. That's some crazy, like.
But it's not even illegal. Like
it's not illegal, but it's like it just goes to show you that like privilege, and when banks see a certain profile, they're gonna loan you the money, and they feel like they're making a good decision.
It's the salespeople at the bank because imagine being a salesperson. Yeah, I mean, I'm just breaking it down to the human like psychology aspect of it, to why this is gonna continue happening.
Yeah, greed.
Yeah, like if I'm a salesperson at the bank or whatever, like the lender, and I know I get, it's almost like buying like a mortgage loan. Somebody's getting paid off 5% or something like that, and I can lend this money out. My job or that person's job at the bank, they're not the SEC, so they're not like, I think you might be a little bit shady.
Yeah, that's not
like,
fair.
Show me all your stuff. They just like, you got a bill? Give me another bill. Like, all right, bet. He take that same bill, that same bank account, and be like, hey, here go a bill. Give me a bill. So he's doing the same thing. Ain't nobody gonna tell you no because the interest in it is for like, for I get paid 10% off of this on my commission check for loaning this out.
And he was winning long enough to probably warrant more leverage because it says in there he built his leverage over time. But
it's
then
like the risk was too high. The risk was too crazy.
The bubble burst and it was like, oh shit.
That's how Hwang was able to amass huge positions so quietly. And because his lenders had details only of their own dealings with him, they too couldn't know he was piling up leveraging the same stock via swaps with other banks.
Viacom Incorporated is one example. By late March, Archegos had exposure to tens of millions of shares of the media conglomerate the Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, and Wells Fargo, the largest holder of record. Indexing giant Vanguard Group Incorporated has 59 million shares. So he leveraged, to give you a quick laundry list of the people he borrowed money from by showing whatever cash up front. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, Wells Fargo, and Vanguard. Is that not the who's who of investment banks? And this is one guy.
Oh, check this out. There's no evidence Archegos did anything improper.
He did. It's
a gray area. You're just hanging in the gray area.
Yeah. I don't think this can happen for like a mortgage product, but I'm just trying to give you an example.
It happened.
Maybe it can, but like, all right, say you
this can happen every time, man.
Say you make $100,000 and your pre-approval is $400,000 or $500,000 for a house.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, we feel like you can afford a $400,000 or $500,000 house. Here's a pre-approval, go shopping. And I don't know that this can happen. I'm just trying to give an example that maybe some more people can comprehend. If you take that same salary and credit score to 10 banks and all of them say, we'll give you 500,000, and then they put it in a pot and now you got 5 million because each person gave you 500,000, and now you buy a $3 million home, but you only make 100,000. So eventually you can't make the payments or whatever's going on, but you're just winning because you play some kind of bet. Yo, I got a $500,000 house. I was able to gather up all the funds. Now I'm gonna go do the play, whatever I thought I could do to make it. And hope it work out. And it actually worked for a long time.
Right.
But then something happened to the vehicle that ran it up like that way before all the 5 million was paid off. So now let's say your 100,000 turned into 500,000, then it turned into 1 mil, then it turned into 1.5, then it turned into 2.5, and you're like, oh, we about to be rich and wealthy. I'm gonna pay back everybody I owe. And then when you're on your way to hit your number, the Viacom sale or whatever happens, and now you can't pay none of these banks back. And the way, at least in mortgage works, once you foreclose it, you lose equity and value. The bank takes it, auctions it off. So like, this is essentially what happened to him. He was on a hell of a run. He piled up a lot of cash, but the cash ran out before he got to that number he leveraged. But the question is, would he have ever realized that this is too much? You should probably pay people off and get out? Or would he have hit in my example, 5 million and then went and borrowed 10 and did it again? At what point do you get out?
I guess for that person to figure out. So 2008, when the banks crashed, they didn't leverage out. We bailed them out. The taxpayers. The point that you're making is a great point, because if there's no risk, right? So there's no evidence Archegos did anything improper. If I'm not doing criminal activity, and I can bet a whole bunch of money to possibly get rich and nothing goes wrong, why wouldn't I do it?
But then you would have an exit strategy, hopefully. In this example, they say he turned 200 million to 20 billion. 200 million to 1 billion is a lot of money. That's 800 million. He did that 800 million and then another 19 billion, but still leveraged more than that.
But he's still richer than we are, so there must be some lessons learned here. And he didn't go to jail. Like, he's risking everybody else's future, but he's winning. Like, he's okay. He's still in a $3 million house.
20 billion.
But my whole point is,
I mean, to me and you, that's winning, because like, but that would Oprah would take herself out and she woke up to 3 million tomorrow. Let's be real. So,
but he's not Oprah.
And I don't even know if we don't even know if he owns that. I don't know if he owns that.
He's a degenerate, yo. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we got some more reading to do. You know what I'm saying? But when they figured out he was over leveraged, they was like, "Yo, like cash out." He was like, "Nah."
I feel him at that point. Nah, because then I just lose everything. I pay y'all off and I'm done. But if I keep it in here and keep doing whatever I'm doing, maybe it's a chance that I turn this 20 into 40. So at that point, when they figured out he's over leveraged, he could be like, "Fuck y'all." Money. Here's the thing. You saying he had a lot of money, right? But he borrowed even more.
How much did Bill Hwang borrow? Like, that's this clip. How much did this fool borrow?
He clearly borrowed more than 20 billion. Swiss Bank, 6 billion of that was leveraged through them. Morgan Stanley probably had 5, 6. Wells Fargo probably had 5, 6. I'm just doing the numbers. Like, eventually it's going to add up to more than 20. So it's like, yo, he could have paid 1 or 2 of them off, I'm sure. Could have paid 4 of them off. But now I pay everybody off and I still owe this bank $5 billion. Where am I gonna get that from? But that's crazy. You could lose 20 billion in 2 days, dog. Like, let's say you borrow 300 and you take that 300 and make $1 million. Now you got a chance to pay the 300 back and be up 7 and be independent.
Yeah, definitely. Now you can do that.
Or you keep going and then I was like, oh, I borrowed that 300 and turn this to $1 million. Let me borrow another 5 mil now and then run this mill up to that 5. And then when I'm at a break-even point with them, borrow 20 more and then run this 5 to the 20. It's like almost like a cat and mouse game of staying ahead. But as you have more money, you compound more. So it sounds like he was on that track and it just had a hell of a run. Like, he was running it up, and then bam, put it all out there. Like, this time we're gonna make a mega play. I'm gonna borrow 5 billion from 5 people. I'm gonna borrow 25. I'm gonna have 20 in the market. But when that 20 dwindled, now you still owe those people. I mean, I think at a high level, that's what happened. But like, you would think once you get to the B's, there's some extra strategies in play.
It should be.
There's a contingency plan that you'll be a billionaire no matter what. That's what it sounded like he lacked.
He's just a gambler. Like, I think he's just I think the
to
conclusion,
some degree, because
they were going to come away
like
with.
The smartest people know that they don't know it all. So they bring in experts in other areas. Like, it's arrogant to say I'm smarter than all these people. Why would I trust to move my money?
Think about 2008. All the people who we look up to now, like Jimmy, like all these.
They were all part of it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these dudes are rich. They're like, oh, he's a billionaire. Yeah. They all were on zero. Like, the bank, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
the bank didn't bail them out.
We look at them as God because we trying to get to, we're like, oh, we don't have that type of money. So I'm going to look at, you know what I'm saying, miscellaneous dude at Goldman Sachs, like, wow, you know so much about money. Nah, some of these dudes are just crooks and they know how to just finagle the system.
Yeah.
Like how this dude.
Yeah.
So we give them credit, but it's really just gambling with other people's money. That's really what it's is.
That's what this was.
Like you in a position to understand how to do that.
That's 100% what this was.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not, like you're smart enough to do something, but you're really a degenerate gambler because you don't know when to stop.
What's so fascinating about this story is it worked for a while. Could he have got out?
Yes. Yes,
but it depends because it seems like he was always leveraged to the You give me $5 million, let me borrow 10. You give me $10 billion, let me borrow 20. You give me 20, let me borrow 100.
No, but here's what I mean though.
Even if you're running it up and your money's making you money, if you keep borrowing more and more and more and more, you can out borrow what you have, and that sounds like what he did.
Yeah, we gotta flush the joint
you know
out.
What I'm saying?
Like this is something we gotta flush out because it's so much here. Like we could crack jokes on it, but at the end of the day, like dude was smart and he did, and there's some lessons in here. We just haven't, like we found like the jokey part because that's what the media does. But at the end of the day, this Bama skirted the rules. Could he cash out? Like yeah, he would have been up based on what we know about leverage so far. Right? It's like as long as it's going up, this is good, and nobody's coming to get their bread from you.
They're gonna let you borrow more.
They're gonna let you borrow more.
If it's 2 to 1, that's the ratio. So you could have said, all right, stop, let me borrow. Like I'm good. I use what you gave me to make money.
Nah, just cash out. Be like, all right, cool. Like here go your 10 billion back or whatever. Here go your 7 billion back.
I'm sure when they enter the agreement, we take this, you take that. Yours is probably lower because you're doing the legwork, but they take something for brokering and letting you borrow.
Yeah.
Regular bank business. And you start talking billions, that's significant for the plays he was making. He never took the step that you just mentioned, which is pay them back and be like, all right. He just said, give me more. Give me more. Give me more. Oh, this is really working. Not only is this one bank giving me more, these 5 banks.
But they always giving him money.
If they all give him $2 billion, he's already at 14, 15. Boy.
Yeah, this is to be continued. We tried to shoot this video for you, but it was too much.
There's a lot of
it's a lot of stuff in here that's helpful. Future us is gonna continue this in another video, so you might see us dressed one way. If we switched up, we didn't do it in the same day, so don't be trying to be like, all right, switching up in the middle of the video. Who they think they are?
Hollywood Mac, Hollywood K. Shut up, mind your business. We got gear. You can change your clothes. Shut up. Yeah, we change your clothes. Don't leverage yourself to the tits. If you're gonna borrow money, know your number, have a payoff point, take those gains, and then be in full control. This video might hit your ears. You can be like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. I made the 20 billion. But goddamn.
Hey, man, come on our show, bro.
Because goddamn, man. Yeah, we got so many questions.
Yeah,
we got questions.
But we respect you.
We want to know. We need to know. I know New York Times and shit be out your door, but like, come talk to the people, man. Bill Wayne, come see us in the trap. New Rules Podcast.